Yo, what up? It's your boys out, man. You already know what time it is, but you know, always like, and this ain't even to just be talking mess, cause you know, I've been trying to stay controversial free for the most part. That's why I haven't really been uploading no videos, and they got a gang of content for me to talk about. Like I said, I don't do that whole, oh, this is such and such business. No, it's not, because people continuously speak on the car, like as if it's just something that they just got the right. So I'm just go ahead and speak on things that I feel like I got the right to talk about, because it's in social media for one. And this is no shot at the dude, because I actually picked up on him doing like a skit about another dude that's in the industry, but I could never really tell if this dude was a blood or a crip, which it didn't matter. I just found him funny, and plus he did like some rap and it sound clean. So I was like, okay, let me follow this dude, which I do follow. I think I follow him on Instagram. I think that I'll be following him anymore, and that's just due to preference and, you know, certain things that I feel is nothing really to play with. So I just, you know, refrain from even delving too deep into why I'm gonna remove myself from his list. But and that doesn't affect him, you know what I mean? It's just a preference. But the whole thing is this dude, Atm Richie. I think that's his name, Atm Richie. Now, I've been watching this dude for a second. Like I said, I follow him, but then I seen what he said on P4K, and the fact that, you know, it was more threats towards the alleged victim. We'll just say alleged because we don't want to get no copyright. No, we don't want to get no strikes on our channel for something that what people continue to continue to act as if it's fabricated. There's no real evidence behind it. The feds are just making up something, which I don't care either way. At the end of the day, everybody will suffer their own consequence, because karma will bite everybody. But we're not on P4K. That's between his hood and him. Now this other dude, Atm Richie, like I watched this whole interview on No Jumper, and like I said, we ain't got no real dogs in the fight, but when it comes to sex crimes and things of that nature, yeah, we're always paying attention to the dudes that we would never be around. And that's including anybody that's been doing it and solid just with the program. It had nothing to do with prison, just being solid and being a decent human being. Anything that has to do with minors is a thing that's looked at really bad. Like I told you, what could happen to people just going there for things such as child endangerment, things like that. Like anything with children is seen bad. And that's a universal feeling, like for all the cars that's in jail or in the feds or whatever. It's universal feeling. You might slip by a couple of fools, but there's gonna be the ones that's like, nah, they ain't gonna want you around them. Now, I ain't trying to make this video too long, which it probably will be, but the whole thing is I'm watching this dude do the interview, and the fact that he's just blatantly throwing out, you know, the self-incriminating and self-snitching is one thing. People do it all the time in rap. I've said things in my rap that if they were to dig deep, you know, that's the thing about rap. It's a mixture of fabrication and truth, but it's hard to know what's the truth and what's fabricated. Everything in rap is somewhat embellished, and it may just be on the matter of how from which that they got removed from the planet. They could have been, you could have said you shot him 40 times, but he died with 2 shots. Like, it's just whatever. It just depends on if you one of these dudes that like to put your business out. But when you're dealing with music, of course you're gonna embellish certain things, because that's the way the music really moves, and you never really want to give direct or exact detail to anything, because that's how you end up in prison for the rest of your life. Now, when I heard this dude you know, talk about that he got multiple hats, and the fact that he's unalived, you know, 304s and this and that, and what happens to 304s if they don't fall in line, and just every like I said, dude, he said, like, I noticed on one part he said that he was on meth, or he had did meth in the past just to fit in, you know what I mean? And he wasn't doing it to control his emotions or to, you know, to deal with certain things that had taken place in his life. It wasn't a coping mechanism. He just wanted to be a part of the crowd, so he chose to be a meth head, which you're entitled to do whatever drug you want as a human being, and as somebody that's been in the streets. You do whatever you want, and can't nobody really say nothing about you unless it's, I mean, they can say what they want, but you don't have to pay attention. Now, being a meth head and dudes that like drugs, that's them. Like, if you want to pop pills, that's your life. As long as you're not a minor, and you're of my ilk, you know what I mean, as far as like, you know, my children, then I don't really care. Like, that's fentanyl. I hate fentanyl. I don't like people that sell fentanyl. They just can't stand, like, because they know what it does. But to each is their own. Now, the whole reason I chose to speak on this dude, because I had said once before, a dude was giving a dude that had sex trafficking on children, allegedly, or on minors, allegedly, a pass, and was basically insinuating something could happen to those, if, you know, if they chose to speak. And I was just like, not even from yeah, we have our morals, and we have the side of us that's gonna be like, yeah, this dude is a trash bag for saying that. But it's more on the side of just, why would you be one of these dudes that's so idiotic that you would come on social media and outright threaten somebody that you know is gonna possibly get. I know for a fact, when it comes to threatening a witness and fabrication of witness, I know exactly what it can bring if they're able to prove it. And that's just if they're able to prove it. That's not, you know, somebody saying it out their mouth exactly what they'll do, or if you don't, you know, basically, if you don't check yourself, you already know it's going to happen, it's going to get dealt with. And then that's one thing to include that's one thing to put yourself into the situation, but to say, like, the homies, like, you actually including anybody that might be associated with you, that the feds or the police might even consider your homies, which most likely, when they're trying to get these cases, they usually put your hood involved. That's why when somebody gets smoked, your hood is like usually, and they have an idea of you might have something to do with it, they usually raid your whole hood out of nowhere. See, and it's things of that nature that homies ward against a lot of times, and they tell you, like, hey dude, you're bringing heat to the neighborhood. Now, it's one thing you putting in work, but it's another thing to put in work and then go talk about it knowing everybody's gonna be paying attention, and going on a platform such as No Jumper, which I don't even fault No Jumper no more. Dude is at a crossroad in his business, to where it's like, look, if you want to come on here and talk, and I noticed even he may have goaded him into other things slightly, but he gave him multiple chances to not self-incriminate himself. He even said, like, hey, you know, this and this and that, but dude chose to continue to talk about the situation. Now, self-incrimination is one thing. It comes with the territory if you're one of those dudes that just like to run your mouth 24/7. And just from the way he was excited to get on there and talk about absolutely everything, that just kind of told me exactly what type of cat he was. You know, I'm looking for the smoke, and anybody that wants to do this, like, okay, you know, there's so many tough guys out here, and you know, this is the thing. Like, if you're such a tough guy, or these dudes are such tough guys, then why you gotta prostitute females? Like, why you need that type of control? And there's one thing. There's dudes that, you know, they do this because they're trying to get that money, and it's not so much about control. But then when you hear a dude talk about it, his whole get down with females and being able to break them for their thing, and constantly calling himself a pimp, which is crazy to say that you're a pimp on camera, and it ain't, and not using it in the past tense, but using this, oh, I still doing it, like that right there only gonna throw them. Just because you don't have them on your bumper right away don't mean they're not paying attention. Soon as you went on a platform, and it's been said, dude, the feds and everything watch No Jumper, because a lot of stupid dudes get up there and talk about everything. Dudes they don't have no reserve on what they talk about. Everything is to either glorify somebody getting smoked, or who they've had smoked, or who they into it with, and what the street politics are. Yeah, we do this because of this, and we do this because of this, and this is the day, our hood day is this, and like all types of stupid stuff like that, when they don't even need to know that. Nobody should even know anything about your neighborhood outside the fact that you bang it, and this is what it's called, and this is where you fools at. All the ins and outs on where you lay your head, or where you had the bodies hid, or where you stash your guns, and which homie then pass you the blade, like all that stuff is just stupidity, dude. And these dudes constantly amaze me. And the whole thing I find funny is these are the same dudes that get on here and spew out their stupid mouth that the homies is allowed to tell them people, and the only dudes I see on here telling on their homies, telling on themselves. Like, you see what happened with the dude from 6-0, you see what happened to Brick, you see what happened to the other dude. Like, it's just so much, it's so much pointing fingers and backstabbing in that little thing that it's just crazy, dude. And this is not even getting into politics, because to be honest, I don't care if it, I don't wish jail on nobody, but if they rot in jail for the rest of their life, that's just them. Like, that they're not from my hood, I'm not from their hood, and that's just a life they chose. Just like when I was fighting my case, nobody cared except like fools that I really was solid with, and moms, going to court and like my kids, like, because it's like, dude, you ain't never getting out. Like, and I had to face that and come to terms with that, and I wasn't expecting my homeboys to be constantly on me, like, yeah, because life goes on after a while. It's just what it is, and for the most part, there was some homies that looked out, and some were too young to even do anything. These dudes weren't even out of, they're not even hitting junior high yet. So I say all this to say this, dude. Somebody should sit this dude down. Like, obviously somebody, they ain't got no love for him. You hear rumors of fools getting ran out of certain places. I'm not gonna get into that, because like I said, it's not my hood, not my politics. But the simple fact that dude can go in here and spew the nonsense that he spews, and nobody's in his ear, like, look, dude, you need to like, I'm telling you, like, there's certain things, like I've said on social media that were grimy, and I've had my homies, that I was solid, be like, hey, fool, woo, like, be careful, you know what I mean? So I can take it in stride and be like, whatever, and be like, I don't have to listen to you, because I don't. Like, I am me, and I'm willing to go at it with whoever, or on my stance on life. But as somebody that's smart and calculative, of course I'm gonna listen, especially if it's constructive criticism. Now, if it's something that's gonna jeopardize life over stupidity, when I can go another route and still accomplish the same goal, yeah, I'm gonna listen. I guess it's just is being smart. But this dude, Atm Richie, dude, like, I feel sorry for him, for in a certain sense, because he reminds me of them dudes that never did nothing in their life and they're still begging for attention. The ones that brag about absolutely everything and never did anything. Like, there's no proof, there's no trail of paperwork, as far as like going to juvenile hall multiple times. Like, you go to jail, but it's like for robberies and all these other little insignificant things in the scheme of things. But I don't know. All I'm gonna say is whoever sorry, allergies, but whoever is his homeboy that have any real love for him, or his family members, you need to sit dude down and actually talk to him, because he gonna end up in, he already said he got 2 strikes, so he gonna end up in prison for the rest of his life, because he can't keep his mouth shut. It was one thing when you said about the young chick, supposedly, that's alleged in this case with your homeboy P4K being a minor and being pimped, and the fact that dudes should shut their mouth and making like subtle threats on the, not even subtle, just outright threats. If you say something like, that's just stupidity, dude. Like, I don't get it, I never will get it. But I love to get on here and clown about fools that make up these stories about the homies, but then you see everybody that's on the main stage doing what they do. They don't got nothing to do with the S. Like, you don't get me wrong, you have Southerners that do stupid stuff, but they're usually goofballs and the fools that say certain things. But as far as like telling you who they've killed and where the bodies are found, and outright saying they're pimps, because there is no pimps that Southern, like, you can whatever, I'm gonna just leave that alone. But yeah, you see certain things, but you don't see it like that, dude. Like, nobody's telling you that they got bodies buried here. You had that one dude, but he's up north, but he ain't the homie. Like, he was, I don't even think he's a northerner. I know he's not a southerner, but I think he may be a northerner, or never got into the north, whatever. All in all, we don't do it. So all this fabricated lies and this and that, like, man, just get it straight, dude, and stop lying. That being said, man, hopefully people get in his ear, because it ain't no use of being in jail, especially if the stories you telling ain't true. Sorry. I'm going to stop because my nose is on the fritz. But yeah, with that being said, your boy Zod, and cats take it how they take it. But I'm just keeping it real, you know what I'm saying? And I'm out.